everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive into something a little unnerving? Happened right here in our backyard over the weekend.
Yeah, definitely hits close to home.
It does. It really does.
Yeah.
All right, so we're talking about the shooting near Desert Ridge Marketplace.
Oh, yeah.
We're looking at that 12news.com article, the local news piece.
Right, right.
And, at first glance, it seems like, another crime report, right? But I think there's some details in here. I don't know. I think there's some details that really open up some bigger questions.
Yeah, I agree.
About safety and, just being out and about in public spaces these days.
Absolutely. I mean, this hyper-local news often does that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It gives us a little look into bigger issues.
It really does. Okay, so just to set the stage for everyone, the basic facts. We had a woman shot near Desert Ridge Marketplace.
Early Saturday morning, yeah.
Yeah, and the article says around 9:40 a.m.
Wow.
So, not exactly the time you think of when you hear shooting.
No, not at all.
Right, I don't know, you think of dark alleys and,
Right, late at night.
Yeah, exactly. But this was broad daylight.
Yeah, in a busy area, too. I
Wow.
mean, Desert Ridge Marketplace, that's a pretty popular spot, especially on a Saturday.
Totally. And she was found near Tatum Boulevard and Rose Garden Lane,
Oh, okay.
suffering from at least one gunshot wound.
Yeah, so serious injuries there.
Absolutely. She was hospitalized, serious injury. It's just crazy to me.
It's a lot to process.
It is. And like I said, the thing that really kind of stuck out to me was the time of day,
Yeah, it's interesting you pick up on that.
Yeah, I mean, we see crime reports and they list the day, but they don't always mention the time, right? And I feel like that detail really matters.
It does. It paints a picture.
It does. It changes the picture. You're picturing Saturday morning, people are out getting coffee, walking their dogs, and then this happens.
Right. Families, kids, the whole scene.
Exactly. And it just makes you wonder, how does this change people's perception of safety in the area, Because this isn't 2 a.m. in some deserted parking lot.
It's a good question.
It's broad daylight.
Yeah, and when something like this happens in broad daylight, it really does challenge all of our assumptions about when and where we feel safe, right? And it could even impact law enforcement's approach to this whole thing.
Right. How so?
Well, think about it. Daylight, you're much more likely to have witnesses.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Particularly even security footage.
Yeah.
Could lead to quicker leads, maybe a faster resolution,
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. It changes the whole investigation.
Yeah, completely different ballgame.
And speaking of security, the article, they included a statement from Desert Ridge Marketplace.
Oh, interesting.
And, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but they said, and I quote, "We are aware of the situation happening outside of Desert Ridge Marketplace and are fully cooperating with the Phoenix Police Department."
The emphasis on outside, huh?
That's what got me, the outside. I don't know, it just seems very carefully worded, don't you think?
It's a very carefully worded statement, that's for sure.
Are they worried about shoppers, associating this whole incident with the marketplace itself? Even though, yeah, it technically happened outside their property lines.
Yeah, you can see why they might be concerned about that.
Okay.
I mean, public perception is everything.
It really is, especially for a place like that.
Exactly. I mean, they want to make sure people feel safe coming there.
Right. And, maybe they are trying to reassure people, hey, the marketplace itself is secure, but it's also, I don't know, it feels like they're trying to distance themselves a bit.
From a serious incident that happened, let's be real, right on their doorstep.
Exactly. And it makes you think about, what are the responsibilities of these large public spaces, right? When it comes to safety, even in the surrounding areas, It's tricky.
It is tricky. You've got people who want to feel safe, and you've got businesses who want to protect their image.
It's a tough balance.
It is a tough balance, for sure.
And then the article goes on, and this part I think is so important. They're asking anyone with information to contact the Phoenix Police Department.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And it just got me thinking about, how much community involvement can really play a role in a situation like this.
Oh, it's crucial.
You think so?
I do. I mean, sometimes the smallest detail a witness remembers
Right.
can be the thing that cracks the case wide open.
Yeah.
In a busy area like that on a Saturday morning, somebody saw something.
Yeah.
They may not even realize how significant it is.
It's like that one little piece of the puzzle, right?
Exactly. And it may not seem like much on its own, but it can contribute to the bigger picture when
Yeah.
you're talking about an investigation.
Absolutely. And speaking of the bigger picture, this incident really does make you think beyond this one event
Oh, for sure.
and consider, that broader issue of gun violence and the impact it has on our communities.
It's a heavy topic,
It is, it's heavy.
but important to address.
Absolutely. And this isn't an isolated incident, right? This is reflective of, unfortunately, of a much larger problem.
That we see reflected in local news, like all the time.
It's true. It's true. And it makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. It makes you think a lot about where we are as a society,
Mm-hmm. And about those public spaces, like we were saying before.
Yeah, and how we use them, how we feel about them. It really does raise a lot of questions.
It does. It does. So much to unpack here.
It really does. And it makes you think about the role of these shopping centers as public spaces, right?
Totally.
And how something like this can affect people's perceptions of the area, of the entire community even.
Oh, yeah. I get that.
I mean, these places, Desert Ridge, places like that, they're designed to be community hubs.
Yeah.
Places where people can come together, connect, shop, eat, But when something like this happens,
Yeah.
it shakes that whole sense of security, doesn't it?
It really does. It's funny you say that because I remember this one time I was at the mall, it was pretty late, and I was walking out to my car and the parking lot was like deserted.
Oh.
And it suddenly hit me like, wow, this doesn't feel safe at all.
Right.
It was like this place that I always thought of as, safe and inviting.
Yeah.
It just completely changed in that moment.
Yeah, it's amazing how one incident can really shift your whole perspective on a place, huh?
It's crazy, right? And it makes me think about, how do you strike that balance
Yeah.
between security measures
Right.
and maintaining that open, welcoming atmosphere that these places are, supposed to have?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It's a challenge.
It really is. And it's not just about, putting up more cameras or increasing security patrols.
Yeah.
You have to think about the feeling, the overall environment you're creating for people,
You're so right. It's like you don't want to create this fortress mentality.
Exactly. You want to encourage people to come and enjoy these spaces,
Right.
but also make them feel safe while they're there.
Yeah. So how do you do that? I mean, if you were in charge of security for a place like Desert Ridge Marketplace, what steps would you take, after an incident like this?
Well, I think the first thing I'd do is really try to understand what happened.
Yeah.
Like in detail,
Yeah.
Look at the security footage, talk to witnesses, see if there are any patterns in foot traffic or anything like that.
Right. So really get a complete picture.
Yeah, complete picture.
Yeah.
And then, I think it's important to get out there and talk to the community, understand their concerns, their perceptions, because they're the ones who use this space every day.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And then, once you have all that information, you start brainstorming solutions. Maybe it's something simple like, improving lighting in certain areas.
Oh, yeah. That can make a big difference.
It can. Or maybe it's about, redesigning certain spaces to minimize hidden corners or anything that might feel unsafe.
Right.
Or maybe it does involve increasing security patrols, but doing it in a way that doesn't, make people feel like they're in a police state.
Totally. So it's not like a one-size-fits-all solution.
Definitely not.
More like a multi-pronged approach.
Exactly. And it has to be, constantly evolving because the community changes, the needs change.
You got to be adaptable.
You have to.
Yeah.
But I think the most important thing is to remember that safety is a shared responsibility.
Ooh, I like that.
It's not just about security guards and cameras. It's about everyone being aware, looking out for each other, and working together to make these spaces safe for everybody.
Yeah, I love that. It takes a village, right?
It does. It really does. And that brings us back to this specific incident,
Yeah.
and that call for anyone with information to come forward.
Oh, right.
Even if you think it's nothing, even if you think, oh, this couldn't possibly be helpful, you never know.
Yeah, you never know what detail might be the one that connects the dots.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it just reinforces that idea that we all have a part to play in creating safer communities, whether it's reporting something suspicious, participating in a neighborhood watch, or just, being aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, being present.
Being present, being engaged.
Yeah, I love that.
We can all make a difference.
Absolutely. So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive into this local news story, what's the main thing you want our listeners to think about?
Well, I think it's important to remember that local news often reflects these larger these larger societal trends and challenges.
Right.
This shooting, it might seem like an isolated incident,
Right.
but it brings up these bigger questions.
About gun violence, about public spaces. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it really does.
And about our responsibility as a community. We can't just passively consume these news stories.
Right.
We have to engage with them, think critically about what they mean, and consider what we can do to make things better.
It's a call to action almost, isn't
I
it?
think so. It's a reminder that we're not just bystanders. We all have a role to play.
It's powerful stuff. It's easy to get caught up in the headlines and then, just move on with our day.
Right.
But this challenges us to go deeper, doesn't it?
It does. And it reminds us that even hyperlocal news, the stuff happening right in our own backyard, it can spark these important conversations and inspire real action.
It can. It really can. So to our listeners out there, we leave you with this. Think about the public spaces in your own community.
Yeah.
What makes you feel safe? What makes you feel unsafe?
Mm-hmm.
And what steps can you take both individually and as part of your community to create a safer, a more vibrant place for everyone?
It's a question worth thinking about.
It is. It is. It's something to ponder,
Yeah.
and remember, even the smallest actions, they can make a difference.
Absolutely. Every little bit counts.
Every little bit counts. Well said. And you know what else really stood out to me in the article? The fact that they had to close down the whole area around the shooting.
Oh, yeah, for the investigation.
Yeah, for hours. And
Mhm.
I kept thinking about all the people, just trying to go about their day.
Right.
And then suddenly, everything comes to a halt.
It's a good point, yeah. It really highlights the ripple effect of something like this.
Yeah.
It's not just about the immediate victims, it's about the wider community, the businesses that had to close, the people who maybe live in that area, people who rely on that area for their daily routines.
Yeah, it disrupts everything.
It does. A shooting like this just completely disrupts the flow of life.
And it's like this intrusion of chaos,
Mm-hmm.
into what's supposed to be an ordinary day.
Right, into the everyday, the mundane.
Exactly. And it makes you think about how resilient communities are,
Yeah.
They have to adapt
They do.
and find ways to cope and eventually, move forward.
And it really speaks to, I think, to the need for a strong sense of community.
I like that.
That willingness to support each other
Yeah.
during difficult times, to come together,
Yeah.
not just in the aftermath, but beforehand as well, in building that foundation of trust and collaboration.
It's like preventative care almost,
Yeah, exactly.
Like the stronger the community, the better equipped they are to handle something like this.
Absolutely. Well said.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one big takeaway you'd want our listeners to walk away with today?
I think it's the importance of awareness,
Mm-hmm.
awareness of our surroundings, awareness of the issues facing our communities,
Right.
and awareness of our own role in creating a safer, a more connected society.
I love that. Awareness it's that first step, right?
Yeah, it's a catalyst for action.
It is. It really is.
And sometimes that action can be as simple as, talking to your neighbors,
Yeah.
attending a community meeting,
Yeah.
or just being more present in your daily life.
Just noticing things.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Paying attention.
Well said. Thanks for joining us today for this deep dive,
It's been a pleasure.
We hope this has, I don't know, maybe sparked some thoughts, some ideas,
Some conversation.
and even inspired some action out there.
Yeah, that would be great.
It would. Until next time, stay curious and
stay engaged.
stay engaged. And remember, every little bit counts when it comes to building a better community.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive.